I'm here to talk about the DJI, not the Mini 4 Pro, but I'm here to talk about the Mini 5 Pro, which was released September 17th, 2025, and today's a couple days later. This is actually Saturday the 20th, and I've been watching as many Mini 5 Pro videos as I can out on YouTube, the big channels. Not that many American influencers, however, but around the world they have the drone. Everybody knows the issues in the US. It's hard to get a DJI drone now. They keep getting stuck in customs. They don't really get the people, if DJI send them, but there are backdoors. A lot of people are getting me in, through eBay, whatever, with sellers sending kind of plain brown boxes not labeled DJI or drone or have a DJI return address on it. But that's not what I'm really here to talk about today. But just I watched enough videos to kind of figure out it's a lot of great things about this drone. The one-inch sensor, better overall video and camera quality, better flight times. To me, one of the most fascinating features is they have that medium like kind of tele thing on it, where they don't have an extra lens. They only have one lens on it, but they can kind of almost create like a lossless, like 2x zoom in now, so it kind of replicates having the longer lenses on the Air 3 and the Mavic 3, Mavic 4 Pro. So I think that's one of the most interesting features of me. But there are some supposedly some cons. Again, I don't have the drone. I'm only a backdoor, what do you call armchair quarterback here, backseat driver, armchair quarterback, but or armchair drone flyer in this case here. But one of the big controversies so far has been the weight. Many people have weighed this drone, and of course, these mini drones are supposed to be under 250 grams to be legal in a lot of different countries or whatever that don't allow heavier drones, to kind of do all the operations that people want to, like fly over kind of populated areas and things like that or whatever. Like in Canada, I know mini drones can go beyond visual line of sight and again fly over busier areas. But so this not being under 250 grams could hurt a lot of that. Even though in Europe it does have that CO sticker on it, or C0 sticker on it, so it seems to be certified. But again, just a lot of people worry. For just full disclosure, like it doesn't worry me. I mean, I mostly fly Part 107. I'm resting all my drones. So the 250 gram thing, personally for me myself, doesn't make any difference to me at all. In fact, I want to fly. I want to fly, registered. I want to fly with remote ID. I want to fly in Part 107. So that doesn't matter to me. But it's a big issue nonetheless here. So again, various challenges of the way they put on scales. And again, I don't know how many of these scales are, certified, tested, or whatever to be 100% accurate. But it seems like a whole bunch of scales are saying it's over 250 grams. And some people make jokes like even putting your little like sticker on the side of it, of the drone puts you over. Putting a memory card in puts you over. If you have to put a remote ID stick module on, of course, it puts you under. So yeah, so this is kind of a big deal. Again, I don't have the drone. I haven't been able to weigh it myself yet, but this is causing quite a fury in the community here, and I hope we get to the bottom of this, whether it is or it isn't. And some people are now going back and reweighing their Mini 4s now and saying they're over too. I guess I should have weighed my Mini 4, before I got in this video. But again, I don't fly it as a, I don't really fly as a sub 250 hobbyist drone anyways, or I haven't flown out any Europe, Canada, any place that has special rules for 250 gram drones. So and kind of on that whole weight issue here. Also, remote ID is a big deal in the U.S. I haven't heard much talk about it on the reviews because most reviews are from outside the U.S. And if they have remote ID, it's not as big a deal as it is here in the U.S. Or I don't even understand remote ID anywhere but the U.S. But so I don't want to go too deep in that. But nobody really talks about it much. And of course, in the U.S., if you're under 250 grams, you do not need remote ID on a drone if you're flying hobby. Hobbyists don't need remote ID to under 250 grams. It's complicated. But of course, if you're over, if you're over 250 grams, you need remote ID. If you're flying for, business or whatever to make money, you need to have remote ID. And they solved this problem on the Mini 4 by having the standard battery, which kept the drone under 250 grams, that did not activate remote ID, and the heavier plus battery, which put the drone over 250 grams, did activate remote ID. The only thing I never really understood is, if once you activated remote ID by putting a heavier battery in, when you put the lighter battery back in, did it turn remote ID off or did it keep it going? And I'm one of those people, I'm an all Apple person. I don't have any Android devices or, I know some people tell me, oh, I get my DJI smart controllers, Android devices, but I never want to load any apps on those things besides the apps that come with them. It's never been a good thing when I've actually tried doing that in the past, so I've stopped doing that totally. So I'm going to go back to saying I don't have any Android devices except for controllers, so I can't download that drone scanner app that shows you the remote ID. So I have no way of really telling on the Mini 4 Pro whether I had remote ID. What got turned off and I didn't have the plus battery in there. So I don't know that. So anyhow, it raised the question on the Mini 5 Pro. If it does have remote ID, does it have remote ID out of the box, always on at all times, which some people do not want, because a lot of people that don't want to register a drone, only want to fly hobbies, also don't want a remote ID to find them on maps or whatever. So those people would not be happy if remote ID was always on out of the box. So are we back to the system like the Mini 4 Pro where the plus battery for the Mini 5 activates remote ID? Nobody's really covered this in the video. I've had a couple of friends like Bill the Drone Reviewer, contact the DJI support, and they've confirmed that it has remote ID, but so far I don't think they have any answers to any of the questions I asked outside that it has remote ID, but is it on all the time? Is it activated by a battery? These questions still seem to be unanswered to me. I mean, I'm sure somebody's got a video out there somewhere on the internet to answer these questions, but I haven't come across it yet here. And another issue that people have been brought up, okay, this says it has a 1-inch sensor on it, but a lot of people are already claiming, as with the DJI 360 camera that came out claiming to be a 1-inch sensor that's actually slightly smaller than 1-inch sensor. And people claim the same thing now. Different people, I'm saying different people on it. But out there's a lot of talk that this is not actually a 1-inch sensor. And this looks like it's the same exact camera as the DJI Air 3S got, which again, the same thing. They say it's actually smaller than a 1-inch sensor. And one of the things they point to is previous 1-inch sensors like the Air 2S, the Mavic 2 Pro had 1-inch sensors that delivered 20 megapixel photos. And I don't mean with any pixel binning or whatever. I mean just 20 megapixel sensors where the Mini, I'll go with the Mini 5 here. The Mini 5 Pro, claims to have 50 megapixel photo, but that's a pixel binning. If you're not pixel binning it, it's a 12 megapixel photo, just like the Air 3S. So why do these 1-inch sensors only have 12 megapixels, where the older 1-inches had 20 megapixel photos coming out of the 1-inch sensors? So a lot of people point to that these aren't real 1-inch sensors in these drones. Again, I have the Air 3S. It takes beautiful photos and videos. I mean, whether it's technically a 1-inch sensor or slightly smaller, I really don't have a problem with it. But that is the chatter out there a lot on the internet and the groups and whatever, about this camera not being as advertised as a full 1-inch sensor here. And like for instance, the Mavic 4 Pro, which came out of course earlier in the summer, summer, it had a 25 megapixel photo before pixel binning. Pixel binning, they can get up to 100 megapixels, but the thing standard is 25. And whether you care whether the pictures are, we'll go back to the Mini 5 Pro, are 12 megapixels pixel binned up to 50. Some people don't care about that whatsoever. But I mean, DJI goes hard on advertising these 50 megapixel photos for the Air 3S and the Mini 5 Pro. So again, if I'm not really into that either. I mean, it doesn't really bother me. I don't really use the pixel binning. Like on the Air 3S, I was always just shooting. I always use size 12 megapixel photo. Looked great to me. I'm not. If I was going to plan on printing out some kind of super large photo, I consider the 50 to get maybe some extra detail in there. But for pictures that people are looking at on phones, tablets, laptops, or whatever, you're never going to notice a difference or whatever most of the time unless you're pixel peeping in. So just my thoughts. This may be a bigger deal to you than me, and that's okay. I guess that's just a little bit of a not even rant on my part, because these issues really aren't my issues. My main issues are remote ID, because if I get the Mini 5, I would like to have remote ID on. Have a way to make sure it's on when I'm flying it. Whether that means using a plus battery or not. And for a buying decision for me. If that is the case, you need plus batteries that have remote ID working. I would like to maybe only get like the base drone, and buy plus batteries separately, because I don't really want to have a whole bunch of batteries that may not turn on the remote ID. But again, if putting a plus battery in one time puts remote ID on forever, then I'm go with that. I'll just buy one plus battery and buy like a Flymore combo. So yeah. So a lot of guys seem to be getting the drone from South Korea. Various sellers there. I'm not going to say names in the videos here. There's several of them out there. Just go look in the various drone groups on Facebook, and you'll find the spots for them. And I don't know anybody in the U.S. that actually has received it yet. I got people that are about to receive it, but people are worried that they're going to charge some kind of a tariff, because you go to some of these sites, even on your phone, a little banner pops up that says you may be responsible for paying tariffs and duties and things like that. And that has scared a lot of people off. But as far as I know, anybody in the U.S. that ordered the Mavic 4 Pro, in the last couple of months since it came out in the spring, I don't know if one person had to pay a tariff or an extra duty, beyond what they paid to the seller for drones coming from South Korea and, in my case, Japan. So, whether that follows through on the Mini 5 Pro, I guess we're going to find out next week, when a whole, batch of Americans are supposed to receive their Mini 5 Pros that they mostly ordered from South Korea. So, join us on the Drone Nation show Monday nights on YouTube, Monday night 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and find out this situation. We always have a couple people on as guests, and a lot of these people have ordered the Mini 5, and they will report whether they had to pay any additional tariffs or duties, beyond the price they're paying. Most of them seem to be paying in the $1,200 to $1,300 ballpark. Some of them are paying like $1,200 and $100 shipping, something like that. Some are paying, a little bit more, not paying shipping. So it's, but it seems to be in that $1,200, $1,300 ballpark to get the Flymore combo, the one that comes with the drone, the RC2 controller, the one with the screen, the 3 batteries, the charger, the ND filters, and so on. That's like the top kit, which you can maybe find out on American sites, even maybe, but some of those are charging up to $2,000 or better for that same kit. So just you buyer beware before you go out and you pluck your money down on this. But so far, we haven't had any confirmed instances of anybody had to pay a duty or tariff yet. And the difference between ordering from these guys is, if you order from a DJI or a big company like that, I guess, their drones are coming in pallets or whatever, and I guess it's easy for the customs guys to spot this big pallet of DJI drones coming in. But when you're buying South Korea, you're probably not even buying from a company. You're probably bought, one guy working out of his basement, and he just, goes down to whatever the equivalent of his local Best Buy store is, gets one, listed on eBay or whatever, waits for somebody to, put the winning bid in and ships it out, and then goes buys another one or something like that. Or maybe he doesn't even have the drone to begin with. He just knows they have it down at his local store, so he just lists it, waits for someone to buy it, and then runs down to the store and, and buys it with the money he's already, been paid or whatever. Something so, and then he just ships it in a plain brown box with a label, a return label that doesn't say anything about, DJI. They just say his name, like, I don't know what, John Smith. The John Smith of South Korea name is, but it's his common name, and then his return address, 123 4 Street, Seoul, Korea, whatever, and sent it over. It doesn't look like it's anything but like something grandma would box up and send over for the kids for the holidays, something like that. So nobody's really looking for that box. That's how these these drones are getting through from these I'm gonna say them just small South Korean sellers. They're not companies or organizations or anything like that or whatever. So they're kind of sneaking them through. Whether that window will be shut down by the U.S. Customs Department, I don't know. I mean, so far it's been working all summer for the Mavic 4 Pro, and we'll see how good it works for the Mini 5 Pro this week when everybody gets their orders that they put in last Wednesday. Some people even pre-ordered. I mean, God, you can take pre-orders when you're not even really when maybe you don't even have the drone, you just run down to the store and get it. So anyhow, just some random thoughts on kind of we'll call it the first week of the Mini 5. And I don't mean to be down here. I think it's a great drone. Love all the features. Looks like a solid upgrade from the Mini 4, which also was a great drone, still is a great drone. I watched a whole bunch of videos, and I've mostly watched them on either laptop or even iPad Pro, whatever. And when they do the side-by-side video comparisons, if you're watching the comparison in full daylight or whatever, I can't see the difference between either the drones. Maybe I could on my 65 HDR TV, maybe I could see it, whatever. But on screens that most people watch these videos on, I couldn't see the difference. Now, when it comes into low light conditions and things like that, then you can see the difference. You can see that the bigger sensor of the Mini 5 Pro is better in low light conditions. So, I mean, if you do most of your flying in low light conditions or whatever, maybe it's a must-have upgrade. But if you fly most of your flights in, during the day, in the middle of the day or whatever, and only occasionally once in a while flying a little low light or something like that, then, it's a tougher decision whether to upgrade or not, to the drone. And, and these things don't lose their value. So, I mean, if you're a drone collector, if you have every drone you've ever owned on a shelf behind you someplace, then it's going to cost you the full load. We'll say $1,200, whatever, buying it from South Korea. But if you're not a drone collector and you don't, once you get the new drone, you're never going to touch the old drone again. You can probably sell this thing for, I don't know, at least half the price of what you're paying for the new one, maybe even better. And that kind of really offsets the cost of upgrades. That's Ron's upgrade tip there. Like I said, don't come down hard on me if you are a drone collector and you have every drone you've ever owned in the closet behind you if it's sentimental value. So okay, let me know if you have any thoughts or any answers to anything I put out there in this video here, especially if you have the answer where you've actually tested yourself or whatever, not just read something on the internet or whatever, kind of answer some of these questions. Again, I haven't ordered it yet. I probably will at some point or whatever. To drone, I don't really need. I know some people, love the minis, and I know people that live, again, I talked a little bit this earlier, people who live in, Europe, Canada, and so on. I totally understand why they love the minis and because of the rules and regs and things like that or whatever. And there's another subclass of people, like in the U.S., the Mini 1 was the most popular drone of all time. I don't think it had much to do with 250 grams at all. I think it's because it was cheap. It was like the cheapest DJI drone ever. It basically was the first really good drone that worked well, that didn't cost, $900,000 or whatever. And then even the Mini 2 came out, it was still at a low price, and it was like, three times as good as the Mini 1. It was the most popular drone of all time in the U.S. or whatever. And again, not so much because of 250 grams, because it was the price. But now the minis, the minis really aren't, they're still cheaper than the Mavics and the Airs, but they're not really a budget drone anymore. So, I don't know why, so many people continue to buy the minis when they're not really a budget drone anymore, and not for that whole much more. You can get an Air 3S, and it has the same camera as this, so you're not going to get better photos with the Air 3S, but the Air 3S is much better in the wind, than the little minis or whatever. So some people may be lucky to live in a place with not much wind, but I live coastal, so 50% of the time or more, I'm going out, I'm battling with wind. If I'm Mini out or whatever, Not that it can't fly in the wind. The Mini 4, I'm sure the Mini 5 is supposed to be even better. They can fly in the wind, but they just don't move around with the nimbleness and speed that the bigger drones do, like the Air 3S and the Mavic 4 Pro. You know, and if you have older versions, Air 3, Mavic 3, the same thing applies too. They just move around so much better in the wind than the little mini drones do. And you know, again, this thing, the Mavic Mini 5 is so packed. I don't know if I think it has all the features of a bigger drone, but it just doesn't fly and handle the wind like the the smaller drones do. And of course, the used to be the Air had a better camera and better photo quality than Mini, but with the Mini 5 Pro, that's not the case anymore. So this closed the gap as far as camera quality. Now the Mavic 4 had them all beat with its much bigger camera sensor and just much more ability to do photos and video. But okay, I've said enough in this video. I'm Ron Brown's YouTube channel. I do drone, tech gear, camera gear, whatever. If you got anything on this video, give me the thumbs up. Helps the algorithm, helps more people. Send the video out to more people who aren't subscribed. And speaking of subscribing, please subscribe if you're not already a member. That also helps the algorithm. Doesn't cost you anything. Ring that bell so you know when I put another new video up about your favorite drone, your favorite piece of tech gear, or even something you think about buying. So, okay, I'm not going to say goodbye here. I'm going to link a video up here that kind of somehow relates to this video that I think you may enjoy too. So I will see you at that next video.